Okay. That should be alive. How's it look? Waiting? Okay. Should be working. Might need a bigger fire soon. How's it look? Good?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, I got to turn my volume off.
Can you hear me okay?
Who's there?
Okay, we're live. Sorry, I'm just pulling up comments in case anybody's here already or watching this after it's been recorded. We're thinking, it's awfully quiet. What's going on there? Nothing. Just getting covered in a little bit of ash and checking on previous videos.
A lot of.
So, was the audio good?
I'll turn my audio off. I think so though, because I'm hearing me first of all.
Okay. I'll check audio. Where is it? Is the audio button? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, is this working? That sounds good. Audio. Where is it? Is the audio button? And then we will change you down to 144p. Okay, that's your phone done. Hello, Zeus. Zeus is here beside me. I don't know if you guys can see him, but here he is. Jen's working on the fire. We are relaxing after another busy day. Well, it doesn't matter. Just get the fire going.
I'm trying. Oh no.
Yeah, long day, busy day. Working horsies and little spring cleaning here and there. A couple appointments. There. It's looking good. We're just prepping for this live stream. We don't even have beverages yet, other than water. So, waiting on the head pourer of wine. Got a beautiful sunset going on. I should probably show you guys real quick. Too many things going on. I need a little table. Where'd that little table go? There was a little table that was around. Oh, this table. This is the one I'm looking for, guys. No, it's this one. Just gonna put the sunset in the view here. It's amazing tonight. We got another beautiful sunset. Look at that thing. So, you know. Something like that. Yeah, it's a nice evening. It's just a nice quiet evening now after just a day of lots of Jen's grabbing more wood. We've got tons here. That treated wood doesn't burn very well. That's a piece of treated. The 2x4. Yeah. It's better on one of those super hot fires that we are not doing at the moment.
Okay. You want wine?
Anyways, sure. A little bit of Wine with my ash. His ash is coming up and
Definitely
landing.
whiny. Whiny.
Whining. Yeah, no.
That,
Commenting.
not whining, just whining.
So, yeah, working with Tana today quite a bit. The new horse. If you guys are, if anybody's come into this live chat by accident, brand new or something,
Hi.
do stuff with horses here. But for everybody who isn't new, you guys have been paying attention to our brown and white cow and our black and white cow. And what is it, Zeus? You're so fidgety. What do you want? Zeus is all over the place. What is it, buddy? Anyway, so the black and white one is Tana. She's just coming along great. Really nice to work with. Really nice. Get it, Zeus. Let's get this massive piece of firewood. Zeus, bite it. Bite it. He's a busy dog. Always busy. Things to do. But don't bite it too much. We still got to put it on the fire.
Oh, bite it, bite it. Not that much.
Just a little.
Just a little bit.
A lot of groundwork happening right now. I've got hours of video, but I generally, in general, I'm sort of a little low on time for editing for a few reasons. One is I've been a little under the weather, so by the time evening comes around, I'm pretty tired. And that, what? Zeus, we don't need bark mulch.
That is.
He's going to town on that
I've never
thing.
seen him do that.
He's just chewing up a big log.
I don't know if you can see him. No, you can't.
No, they'd have to point the camera at him. You could get up and point the camera at him if you
Mine's
wanted.
pretty fuzzy.
Yeah, I
Did you get
made it
everybody
fuzzy
to-
so it uses less bandwidth.
Oh, thanks.
Anyway, so lots of groundwork, which is really good. Just get along just swimmingly. There's a lot of the same question. A lot of questions come in of the same question of should you do longer sessions and a few or shorter sessions and a lot? If you had to pick between the two options, there's definitely a huge, in my opinion, a huge benefit to doing lots of shorter sessions where you can have some kind of idea or some kind of goal in mind, which is exactly what I'm doing with her. I've got an idea, I've got a feel that I want to get from her. I want her to be calm. I want her to be, I want her to complete the activities that we're doing, whether it's, circles or figure eights or, drive draw, moving the hind end and the front end, changing my size and placement of circle, direction changes, backups with direction changes. So there's a lot of activities to do, and I may want a combination of them, or I may think that she'll be able to get to a combination of them, and then she might make it close to that, but she'll be super soft when she does it, and I'll just finish right there. So for example, a few sessions have gone over 40 minutes or something like that, and then a few have been 10 minutes. So the range of time that I work in is highly dependent on her rather than me per se. So now what are you eating? He's given up on the big log. He's eating tiny little pieces of bark mulch, charcoal. Just like charcoal.
Casey Doc also said you could always catch them doing the right thing and end on that note.
Yeah, they're. I don't know if you guys will be able to. The microphones. It works both ways, but it might not be picking up everything. We'll see if this works well. I don't want to pick up the traffic, so I'm a little bit leery of that. But anyway, so the comment was what?
And you can always say, and as you always say, catch them doing the right thing and end on that note.
Yeah. The downside, or I find the downside, I'm just going to put this off to the side for a minute. The downside of going places to work with people's horses is you're going to have about an hour. If you're thinking of being a horse trainer or whatever. I think some ashes are landing on my microphone cover, melting it. No. Um, so you'll go to people's places and they'll expect about an hour out of you, or maybe 2 hours or something, depending on what you've agreed upon. And I'll get out there and I might get something done with a horse, and I'll think this is really good. We should probably stop here. But there's sort of an expectation it should go for a little longer, so you have to mess around with something else, and hopefully it won't go too much further into time, or if the client says, sure, no problem, we can go an hour and a half or something, you just sort of do that, or 2 hours. And so the bonus of her being here, or the bonus of working here, is that anytime I want to go get her, I just go get her. We do something, and maybe I put her back or put her in the arena. I did that today with her. I put her in the arena with Lena. She'd go wander around, kick Lena around a little bit to do her thing. But exactly that, if I mean, sometimes I've come out of something in 5 minutes. The previous time I really struggled to get to, say, a lead drive, a draw drive situation where I'll draw a horse in and then I'll ask them to travel around me. And maybe the horse really struggled and I really struggled to get it done. We kind of got it done near the end and I left on that pretty good note. And I'll come into the next session starting with a drive draw. And if that horse gets it right away, I might just leave on that and then come back maybe a couple hours later or something like that. Maybe do something else with somebody else or clean up or do one of my hundreds of chores that I have to do that I don't do every day. And they'll leave on that. And what you're really hoping for is that they start where they left off the last time. And if they do, sometimes you finish on that. So yeah, if you can leave off, your goal is always to leave off on something that feels good, something that looks good, that feels good, that's quality. And it doesn't, I mean, I can't stress enough, you don't need to get speed. You don't need to get something quick. In fact, if anything, just whatever you're doing, slow down. Everything gets way better at slower speeds. So yes, you've got it. Finish on something that feels good, even if it's 5 minutes. You could have trouble getting a horse through a gate, into a round pen or something like that. And then one time you just lead that horse in and they come in gently with you, you just go ahead and leave. So anyways, yeah, so working with her, lots of groundwork, lots of moving around, lots of mixing it up. Her owner was out today, and lovely lady, lovely person, great horse owner. She's got all kinds of questions and thoughts, and I was able to sort of explain and show stuff. She says, "Wow, that's at a completely different level of what I'm doing. I'm just sort of leading her around and asking her to back up." And I said, "Those things are great. I don't think people do enough of that, leading around and backing up, and maybe doing some turns left and right, making sure the horse kind of gets out of your way and stuff. That can't be overdone. You could do that all day long, and nobody's going to get tired for it. You're just walking around. So highly beneficial. Great ideas, right, Jenny?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen how well that can work.
Yeah. All the time. So yeah, so we're finally sitting down. Went out for dinner with some good friends.
Mm-hmm. Horsey friends.
Horsey friends. We don't have too many horsey friends.
No.
That are true horsey friends. I mean, friends who have horses or been around horses before, but real, actual, in the business horsey friends, far and few between.
That really helped us get started.
That actually, it's true. Yeah, Jen's got a great point. They are two people we're indebted to, you could say, because I think without them, we wouldn't be as far as we are, for sure. I mean, that's a big boost.
Yeah.
The beginning boost, thanks to their emotional support, physical support, equipment support, supplies support.
Yeah.
I think just about everything other than financial, which equipment and supplies sort of fell into that because you tend to just have. I mean, even just the other day, yesterday, I gave away some hot wire line. I didn't need it. I bought a whole bunch, didn't need it all. And when you have that surplus and you have that sort of neighborly, uh, friendly
Give
sort
it
of
to.
feel, Isis and Wendy,
Ah,
and you know, you just kind of
we're good people.
pay it forward or give back to the world that you. It's you don't even. It's not even a thought process, and so that's the way we sort of feel about these people. That you know, I think, or I feel, I'm very optimistic in this way, but I think that they saw that they knew that to invest that uh, energy into whatever that is, energy, whether it's stuff or whatever, but that energy into what we're doing and the dream that we had for this place, um, was something worth getting into for them. And they're not even in it. They're not. There's no investment here. There's nothing that they're getting out of it, other than, I suppose, in a way, they have another few close friends that are into the business, and um,
Yeah.
they're happy to see succeed. Yeah, we had a really great,
Yeah, it was a
really
lovely
good dinner,
afternoon.
really
Yeah.
nice dinner tonight, and just chit-chatting about all kinds of stuff, some horsey stuff, some personal stuff, some random stuff, you know, dog stuff. They're talking
Yeah.
about dogs.
Everybody's got dogs. You got horses, got dogs.
If you have horses, you have dogs.
When did
Yeah.
you get started with the ranch and training?
This place we bought.
Just kidding.
There's an inside joke
Yeah.
happening at the moment where I like to call this place a ranch, and Jen prefers to call it a farm.
Well,
I'm like,
hold
well,
on.
I don't have any chickens or sheep or
It's-
goats or
it's-
nothing here. That's
it's-
that guy over there.
It's not a preference. I run a daycare, and so when we first got the place, all the littles would call it the farm. I want to go to the farm, the farm, the farm. And so they would all ask to come here calling it the farm. So it just became, in my head, the farm.
Yep.
And then you started calling it the ranch, but
Yeah.
it was too late for my old brain to,
Yeah.
to
So-
switch.
So I'd be like, well, I'm punch you in the eyeball, and then I had a fight with a stick and stuff. So
Your branch to
you know.
the eye.
it's a farm now.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, this place we bought, I guess we're at 3 years, almost 3 years now. In June.
Yeah.
Purchased in May. Actual purchase was in May. The people that were here needed some time to move out, but we were able to actually come in and take some measurements and start to figure things out. They're just wonderful people. And we were actually able to move some stuff into the shop, which is the classroom that you guys know. If you're old here, if you're new here, we've got a classroom area. I wonder if that motorcycle comes through. I bet it does. Loud motorcycles today. Everybody's out on motorcycles. Beautiful day. Easily 20 degrees Celsius all day long, which is great motorcycle weather for us. But loud. They're everywhere. But yeah, so we could move some stuff into the shop area. So that actually stayed packed with my stuff for over a year.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Until I finally cleaned it up, turned it into the learning center, learning studio, and it's never gone back since. So it's doing really well, and it's been well used for that purpose. So yeah, 3 years, but I was working with horses and trimming and stuff before that. So
Is this something you've always wanted to do?
no, Who asked that?
Olive's dream.
Olive's dream. Do you guys hear my olive joke? Should I tell the olive joke again? Don't choke on your wine.
I love the olive joke, even if I get it wrong.
It just comes to mind. So there's just in case there's anybody new here that hasn't heard this joke. So there's 2 olives on a table. And one of the olives falls off. And so the olive that's on the table looks down at the olive on the ground and says, "Hey, you okay down there?" And the one on the ground says, "Olive."
It's just a bad joke, but it's
Corny.
so cute.
So corny.
Yeah.
It's like the janitor joke.
Yeah, she says, yes, I love the olive joke.
Yeah. I must have told
Yeah.
the janitor joke because that's the funniest one.
But
You guys
I
have to tell these ones to kids, but there's what is hang on, let me think. I think What did the janitor yell when he jumped out of the closet? Supplies.
David asked if your daughter told you the joke.
No,
No.
the olive
Yeah.
joke came from somewhere else.
She's too little at this point.
She
She's
thought it was
starting
hilarious,
she's
though.
starting to get some.
Those play on words things are a little bit hard for her yet, but she's getting
She'll
there.
get there.
Have you always wanted to do this? No, no way. I will say, when I was a kid, and I've told this story probably before, but when I was a kid, my mom sent me to one of those week-long camps. I don't know wherever country you're in, but here in Canada, and I know in North America and Canada, we all have these camps you go to, you send your kid off to, get rid of them for a week. And I can only imagine how much of a relief it was for my mom. I was a pretty rambunctious kid. I was pretty active and overly bored a lot of the time. So you can imagine, I was a little bit of trouble, and as active as I am now. I was very active. So I went to this camp, and they made us ride horses, and I hated it. I hated it with a passion because I was on this massive horse that I couldn't control. My feet didn't reach the stirrups. It wouldn't listen to my hands. And it's not like I really knew all that back then, but I just couldn't control it. And it took me underneath some prickly, crappy tree that I was just stuck under for the next 20 minutes. And I was kicking and fighting with it, and it was too high up to get off of, and I was too scared, and I got really upset by it all. And I said, never again. And I never looked at horses again until I was somewhere around, I guess, 30 or so. A little after 30, I guess, somewhere around there. Got introduced to it, some riding lessons, and I never looked back. It was amazing.
I have a funny one. She's asking, you were an engineer in Japan, right? Or am I hallucinating?
I was a computer specialist. I taught English for a while in Japan. I was there for 10 years. So I became fluent through just sheer studying and making friends and speaking it all the time. In fact, a funny thing, last night I had at least 4 dreams in Japanese.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in Japan, and all the dreams are in Japanese.
So everyone's speaking in Japanese?
Everybody's speaking in Japanese.
And you
I'm
understand
speaking in
all.
Japanese.
Do you feel like that you remember it as well as when you were there, or does it feel like you've been away in your dream?
Oh no, I struggle with some things that I want to say. How do I say that again?
But I mean, like, is that in your dream even?
Yeah.
Or when you're in your dream, you remember what you were like when you were there?
No, in my dream, I'm still trying to. I know that I've come back to Japan after a long ways away.
Interesting.
And I'm struggling to figure out how to say everything that I want to say that isn't just super. If you ever learn a language, there's a process that you go through where you just start with the rudimentary, just like a child would. And you have to start with, I want, go. I go. I go. I'm here. We go. And you sort of build up your vocabulary. Can we go now? Is it okay if we go now? Shall we take off from here and maybe make it to where, you build up your sentence structure and your, God, I'm thinking in Japanese, your vocabulary. And so it reverses as you stop speaking whatever language it is, to where the harder words and the harder grammar start to escape you. And colloquialisms, like typical things that people say, like, I'm going to take off. If you were to teach English and teach the words, I'm going to take off, to anybody who speaks English knows that you're just going to leave. You're going to go somewhere. You're off. Again, you say you're off. There's no opposite to that. Like, I'm on. It means you're coming back. What are you doing? I'm on? You're on? Yeah, I'm going to grab on. Take off and grab on. It doesn't make any sense. So English is a very difficult language to learn, but Japanese also has those same sort of sayings where the more you know, the more natural you sound. And someone's got something funny.
Dog says konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. Yeah.
And someone said, "Oh, Japanese with a Canadian accent."
Yeah. No, my accent's actually near perfect. I'd get on the phone with people, And then I'd meet them one day, and they'd look at me and say, "Where's the other guy? Like, who's the guy I was talking to? Or you're the guy I was talking to, or you're white? You know, that's weird. Why you sound Japanese?" But I worked very, very hard from the get-go to make sure that I didn't mess up, because I knew a white guy that spoke in a Canadian accent in Japanese, and it was just, oh, your brain would melt trying to understand what on earth he was saying. All of his grammar was good, all of his vocabulary was good, but his accent was so bad, and his intonation of his words were so difficult to understand in the Japanese flat. Japanese is much more flat. You don't have all of this like we do in English. So I speak kind of sing-songy. I have a very high and up and low intonation for the way I speak. But in Japanese, you can't have that. It just sounds stupid. It doesn't sound right. It's hard to understand. You can't get across what you're thinking or feeling like you can in English. So it's a big deal. But anyways.
Is Japanese taught in feminine and masculine forms?
No.
No. And Dave is saying, give us a sentence in Japanese.
これは日本語で文法を勉強しようか. So essentially I said, shall we start studying some Japanese vocabulary?
You might have wanted to say that slower.
Nope, there you go. You get it all natural.
I was like, that's so fast.
In fact, I actually, yeah, I mean, I could probably use quite a bit of Japanese. Just if somebody gave me a sentence, I'd probably be able to just rattle it off, sort of thing. But
okay, sorry.
Anyways, it's very enjoyable language, and so I had these dreams. Where was I leading? Where did I get to from that? I was talking about another language. No, before the dreams. Before the dreams, I was talking about something.
We were just talking about what you were doing there. Olive asked what you were doing.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Well, you have a totally different topic if you want to get to it.
Oh sure, okay.
Pixel Pusher. I heard that one. I would like to know about what you use for your paddock fencing. Connection for electric.
Paddock fencing here. All of the posts for our paddocks are 7 foot or 8 foot. 7 or 8? 7? 6? Are they 6 foot? No, they're definitely not 6 foot.
Not.
7 or 8 foot, depending on the depth that we need to get them to, because some of the ground is softer. But we'll just go for 7 foot for now, because the average posts that we put in are 7 foot. They get pounded in pretty close to 3 feet, 2.5 to 3 feet into the ground, and they're pounded in because what it does is, as you push them in, the dirt that it has to move out of the way when the post goes in compacts all around it. So it's really good for the place that we've got, the soil that we have, the clay that we have, and it solidifies those posts. So there's no cementing in any of our posts. Then we have a few that are wood rail fencings, like the arena is all wood rail, and the back pad, the forest paddock and the back paddock have some wood railing to them. The rest of it is this. It's got a couple of different names, but it's originally from a company called Baco. I think it's called Horse Highline or something. Horse Pasture Line. Pasture Line. Anyways, it's not electrical. It's a monofilament plastic, essentially really, really, really thick fly fishing line, essentially. It's got some stretch to it, but it goes right back to its original size, lengths. So you can stretch it, but it goes right back to its original shape and length. And it's got a tensile strength of something silly like 700 pounds per strand. So you put a 5 and it equals 3,500 pounds. So nothing's going to go through the bunch of them, but you can snap one of them. And the bonus is it doesn't cut up horses, ever. I've only seen it skin them a little bit, but I've never seen it cut up a horse. And a few horses have gotten themselves caught or pulled with their with their leg, and they'll snap the bottom one. And in fact, I think there's one of them we didn't even bother replacing. It's like, ah, forget it. And because we don't have any little tiny horses here, so the bottom one doesn't matter that much. And so they'll snap it, but they're very easily replaceable. For the electrical, for the hot wire line, very, very simple. Nylon braided with some kind of stainless steel line, likely, because it doesn't rust. And I guess it could be aluminum. Anyways, and that just attaches onto little plastic doodads. I did a video on the paddock. Just look, if you look into the horse property construction playlist on this channel, you'll see there are a bunch of videos on how to build paddocks, and the latest one, not the latest, but the one before the latest, anyways, where I talk about fencing, in there is how I put up the electrical line. That connects to this box that I've never shown, but it's just this little box you plug into a socket somewhere to provide power, and it runs a current through the line. And if something is touching it and is touching the ground, it shorts the circuit at the point of touching, and you get a zap. It's that simple.
And why do you use ultimate kind? She's asking. Like, why are some wood? Why are some the...
Oh, different types of fencing, sure. Well, we started with just the Baco stuff, the pasture line, the white line that you see everywhere. We started with that. It's far cheaper and lasts longer than wood. It's far easier to install. It's far easier to repair and replace. Everything about it is better. It is a highly superior product to wood.
And horses, she says she has a horse that ducks under, but you can't duck under that.
You can't duck under that stuff.
Yeah.
If it's pulled properly, you can't even get through it. You won't. No horses will go through it. So when they talk about this stuff, though, they highly recommend that you also put a hot wire up, just to have them respect it, because it's not like they can get through it, but sometimes they'll press on it and lean on it and stuff. And it's not so much that the wire has a problem, it's your posts that will have a problem, because horses are heavy and they push on the fence and they lean on the posts, and so you don't want them wrecking your fencing. You want them to just stay away from the fence. Just stay within your area. You're fine. No reason to mess around with the fencing. In the places that I used wood, it was a short run. And if you're doing a long run, it is way cheaper and better. In fact, it's cheaper no matter how short of a run. But it's a little bit more of a pain to do just short runs. So I just ended up using wood. It kind of looks nice too on some places, and
till the horse chews on them.
Till the horse chews on them, and then you can see, there you go. You got that again too, right? I mean, the wood gets chewed on. The arena's a mess.
Yeah.
Hate it. But you can fix that by just spraying on a little bit of wood preservative,
yeah, that green stuff.
The green stuff.
That looks terrible.
It doesn't look as good. I know. Stops them from chewing on it. But it's what are you gonna do? It's a farm, right, Jen? So
that's why
it's got to look farmy.
No, the wire is good.
Maybe it looks ranchy.
It looks ranchy.
Anyhow, so it's personal choice, really, personal preference. I wouldn't say I have any great rhyme or reason to some of the things I do, but for the most part, the Baco line is way cheaper. If I needed to fence a place, I mean, we've still got 3 or 4 spools left or something. I'll probably sell a couple. But I would use that, and plus it goes anywhere. You don't have to have any straight lines. You can go in all kinds of curves and angles and stuff. So if we needed to fence a forest pathway or something, I would just use that, because then you can attach it to trees. You can run it long lengths. You know, if you don't have to get particular size of wood or whatever. What do you want, Zeus? Running out of. Well, I was playing with his ears. He doesn't like that. So very versatile, very, very highly recommended. Pasture line, I think it's called. Really good stuff.
They were talking, and Olive had said FOMO. Do you know what that stands for?
Yeah, David was having a little struggle. He's talking to Olive's dream
about FOMO.
Do you know what FOMO is?
So, well, I didn't, but now I do. I said, explain what it is. Oh, off he goes.
Zeus,
So
you're
then-
never going to catch a bird.
He said Luke was in a state of FOMO when Graham put Lena and Roti, but I don't know who Roti's supposed to be.
Roni?
Into the new forest paddock for the first time.
Yeah,
FOMO.
it's true. Yeah, Luke wanted to go with him.
Oh, Roni, yeah.
Fear of missing out. It's just an acronym for fear of missing out. Mainly used in social media, Instagram, Facebook. I had a squirrel in the pear tree today, driving me
Yeah, he's
bonkers.
up there
It's a
right
bird now. That's a
Oh,
bird.
is that a bird?
Yeah, it's a bird.
Oh.
Stuff.
Tweet, tweet.
It's a noisy day today. We've actually had the goats finally got quiet because they got fed, I guess. But squirrels in the trees, birds everywhere today. Horses nickering for all kinds of reasons. Yeah, it's been a good day. It's been a really good day. Nice to finish off with a fire. So. What now? Are we doing okay for questions?
Carla and I were typing at the same time. I was trying to say something to her, but she was on it.
What was it?
Well, because I said, she's like, it's definitely a ranch. And I said, you're supposed to be on my side. And she said, that's true. And she's like, don't worry. I'm sure there'll be a I said, I'm sure you make a comment about a squirrel. She's like, actually, I'm pretty sure it'll be a bird. And sure enough.
Birds everywhere.
She was right. It's a bird.
We have birds' nests everywhere.
Oh,
I've got
yeah,
it. I
two
did a
of them.
video today. I'll try to upload it later. So it's just a horsey check and a couple things kind of going on. Some cool stuff or I think it's cool. But anyways, we've got some birds' nests. I don't know if they're in places I want them to be, but
I know.
But it's nice. I mean,
because someone said if it's the swallow babies, they will protect their nest by swooping down and trying to attack you, and that would be not good if you're riding.
Fine,
a horse.
then they're going to lose their nest. They better think twice about that idea.
Marianne said she didn't know if this comment had come through, but do you think a mare would play with a gelding like geldings do?
Sometimes, but highly unusual. Usually the gelding sort of pisses them off enough to make them move around, but it never looks like playtime. I'd have to say Lena's come the closest to look like she wants to jump around and play a little bit, but it's kind of short-lived. Gracie's just pretty scattery. I'm not sure she's wanting to play or just burn off some energy. I don't know. No, I've never really seen a mare play like a gelding, but they can get bothered enough to move around a lot.
I need you to read that one. It's coming twice now, so I don't know what to say about that. I didn't say anything the first time, but now it's coming again. Do they mean here? I don't really know what they mean. No, we have enough teenagers.
When this coming before, we got just a question that Jen's not sure what to make of at the moment because it's not really horsey related, and we've never seen this user before. So well, I don't see another one, but I guess it's
that's why they even said
repetition.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kid question, I guess. Kind of weird. Any good ways for a 13-year-old to help with money? I don't know if we're qualified to give good kid advice to do chores and stuff.
Nope. Paper routes, though.
So, if this is a real question, then I try to think of the situation that this might be being asked of. Um, 13-year-old. When I was 13, I think Dave said the same thing. It does. It does depend on where you live. I don't know if you want to say what country you're living in. Maybe somebody in the same country will be able to help you out. But here in Canada, you know, if you're 13, you're doing odd jobs, you're doing paper routes, you're delivering flyers. If you're really lucky, you might find some small shop that will pay you to sweep up and clean up or something like that, but it would be kind of under the table. And it's for babysitting, pet sitting, dog walking. If it's in the Horsey world, 13 is a little young sometimes for some people. But I've seen some responsible young kids grooming. Maybe if it's a nice enough horse to sort of be able to lead them out for some grazing or something, or some hand walking. Some rehabilitation places might be interested in having somebody just walk a horse around a little, and then put it back. Obviously, paddock cleaning might be a possibility, probably only if the paddocks are empty and horses aren't in there, as there'd be a liability issue. So I don't know if that helps. Yeah. KK Doc says they should talk to church or school folks about teen jobs since they have good ideas.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
Mow lawns, pet sitting, great suggestions. Babysit, yeah. If in Canada, it's a good idea to get some certification and first aid.
Yeah.
So if you want to take care of people's kids, you got to know how to fix them a little bit, and also sort of be I don't know. It's illegal issues. So there you go. Okay, moving up back through. Brody Burt had said, sorry, Mr. Bedtime for, I guess, me. Thanks for putting out all the great videos. You're welcome, Brody. Hopefully you look back on this and see how you're welcome. Oh, Jen said thank you. Do you have more horses in the queue waiting to come? Yes, we do have one more that we're aware of. You never know. I mean, phone calls and stuff come through and people seem interested, and there's times when I need to follow up and I don't get to things in a timely manner. They have to call me back, so sometimes that happens. But we do have one that is scheduled to come through this month, I think. I haven't heard back yet though, so I don't know exact timing. So David, yes, as he perpetually persists on helping us out in this regard, great support. Thanks, buddy, for telling everybody a thumbs up. Again, I mean, YouTube's got these algorithms that are very specific on how they add channels into their special algorithm. And there was one point, some way, somehow, we made it into the algorithm that got featured on people's Horsey featured page, or their homepage or something, and we bumped up probably a 200% in people here, and it stayed that way, and it hasn't gone back down, which is really nice. But it always comes down to whether or not the people who are paying attention to what we're doing vote. It's like voting with your wallet. I mean, if you go to Walmart enough, Walmart's going to be in business. If you go to the mom and pop shops, they're going to be in business. That's why mom and pop shops run out of business, because nobody goes, because Walmart's cheaper, and you vote with your wallet. So YouTube's just a massive democracy for the most part. So thanks, Dave.
Fire looks good on the screen.
Fire looks awesome on the screen, actually. We got a great fire going. Yay. It's toasty. I have a t-shirt on, and it's kind of cold out. I think it's getting down to the 10s. So, do you have to shave horses like people do for dogs? Carl asks, why do people shave horses?
Or dogs.
Brian says, recently found your videos. Just want to say thanks for all the education and entertainment. You're welcome, Brian. Yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for popping in. Thanks for saying thanks. Always appreciate that. Okay, shaving horses. And then, so we're somewhere around there. Okay. I'll get off of there. Shaving horses. Oh, we've got this question before. You might as well chalk it up into do you shoe them? Do you spur them? Do you put bits on them? Do you...
Well, she's also saying specifically because of winter hair.
No, yeah. Shaving them for the winter hair is it's not needed. I mean, unless some way, somehow, your weather has turned from cold to straight hot and you know it's going to stay there. We had a little bit of a warm spell for a couple of weeks, and then it got cold and rainy, and it hailed, and it was crappy again. And had any of the horses here been, oh, it's 2 weeks of hot weather, we better shave them up, they would have been cold for that period. It's better now, and it's kind of warming up a bit more. Horses are very, very, very good at taking care of themselves physically. They're very good at thermal regulation. Unless human intervention comes into the case, say for example, you ride them really hard, do a lot of exercises or training and stuff like that, they're obviously going to overheat. But thermal regulation is a high priority for all of us, and horses are really good at it. So they will shed out naturally throughout the course of the end of winter to sort of the end of spring. Our horses are shedding pretty good right now. You can brush them up, but if they've got places to rub, roll, brush their own hair off, or groom with other horses, they'll naturally shed their own coat out quite easily. They shake and it's just a cloud of hair sometimes. And it naturally just falls off, and they'll get itchy. They'll rub on some trees or some posts, or you'll come back and your shelter's just covered in stuff because they've rubbed off on something. We never recommend it because of our climate. Horses shed out just nicely on their own, but it doesn't mean that you can't. It does speed the process if you've got such a temperature change, or you've got an environment that accommodates for them to not have their long hairs anymore.
And
but remember also that when you shave, you're shaving off part of the summer coat as well. Like dogs, it can be very detrimental, and I'll let somebody who knows more about dogs that speaks up. But I haven't heard any dog groomer or trainer that knows a lot about the medical aspect of it that has ever recommended to shave or cut their dog's hair due to certain health and coat destruction, essentially. Brush them regularly. They probably just, for the horse, it's just fine. Well, people shave their horses to save time. They figure their horse is hot, so they just shave them up, and then it's done, and no more shedding all over it. But they'll still shed those little ones. They're still shedding off. They're just shorter, not big fluff balls all over the place.
She was, she just felt like maybe she didn't know what she was talking about. She's just curious. And I said, there's no harm in asking, because people absolutely do shave horses.
People shave horses all the time,
Yeah.
mainly when they're doing high training,
Yeah.
and they've got a suitable environment to keep them warm.
We just don't recommend it because we don't do that with our
Our
horses.
horses are a more natural environment. They're out in the elements a lot more. They all have shelter. They always have food. They've always got water. They can keep themselves warm by keeping the engine running through constant hay.
But it is something that happens. So it was a good question.
It is, yeah, it's very common.
Yeah.
And for some horses, it's a relief to have that hair gone. So, it's circumstance depending. It's not for everybody. It's not for every horse.
Yeah, she said there's show ready as well. Yes, there's a type of
Yeah.
a clique or group of horse people that they shave always.
Yeah. It doesn't mean it's good either. So
No.
not saying it's bad, not saying it's good, but there's circumstances where it's very bad, and there's circumstances where it's good. It really depends. Really depends.
KK Dog says, I have a golden retriever and would love to wear black again.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Dogs and horses,
Dogs.
And cats.
Yeah, anything that sheds. Everyone knows if you own an animal like that when you go out.
Yeah, we just stopped caring that people care.
Yeah, we just wear the stuff and that's that. We smell like
Proud
a
of
horse
it.
and look like a horse.
We're proud of it. This is my horse hair.
That's
In case you wanted to hang around with a horse, I'm a horse person, so
and I
this
smell
is
like
my
a
horse
horse
hair.
too. Yay!
Somebody asked, has Zeus ever been kicked by one of the horses?
Yes.
In our comments. I'm just reading through comments because, yeah, unfortunately, Zeus has been kicked a couple times.
Mhm.
So he's a lot better about staying
Yeah,
away.
long time ago.
Long time ago, yeah.
He came.
Somebody else asked here. Susan asked about shaving.
He was already
Yeah.
9, 8, whatever he was when he was first introduced to the horses. So he didn't, he had to learn as well. So he would try and herd them, and that didn't go so well because he's very short. So his
He
long legs
still
went.
tries to herd the
He
horses.
does, but we usually contain him. But a few times he got kicked because they just decided they didn't want him.
One time was by Jen.
No,
and
what's not?
Oh, we're not telling
No.
that story?
Yeah, whatever.
He was hit by a stick.
Stop it! A branch. It's a branch.
A branch hit him
branch.
out of the
In
blue.
the eye.
Um,
You're a jerk.
Lee Tadlock from the comments here says, does Lena have diarrhea? She just in season. Horses get she's in heat. The girls can get some of them can get pretty bad. It's hard on them, and so you just try to do your best to wash them and keep them from being so grimy. Good question, Lee. Everybody loves the 2 cows. We love them too. They were out today. I got a little video of them. And then they both laid down in the arena. It was pretty good. It was neat. I like watching them. Both good horses. A lot of people, a lot of comments in here. Love your videos. Thanks for the videos. It's just really so nice. One of the girls says, I agree on the bridle path. I don't cut mine either, or fetlocks. Love watching your videos. Don Gibson. Bridle paths. Bridle paths are those bits across the top of the head behind the ears where the bridle goes. Some people chop the hair there for a better fitting bridle or halter. We never do that because it looks weird to me, for one. It starts to grow out and you have this little weird mohawk. The rest of it's kind of long or something. But actually, because we use rope halters, they slide right nicely between the hair. So it doesn't mat down a bunch of hair. The other reason I think that people chop the bridle path is that it creates a better contact with the top of the head. But I was just talking to somebody today about the idea of depending on the top of the head for pressure. And another reason why rope halters are far superior is because they will fit. And if you haven't seen the video on how to fit a rope halter, I've done a video just, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. But you want pressure coming behind the jaw so that not all of it is on the pole. The top of the head, it can be very, very hard on a horse. It's not so hard then, but it's much harder when you release that. And they've got to somehow break that stress in their neck. You can really mess up a horse if they've hauled on the back of their head through some halter or something like that. That's why a 3-point connection of a rope halter is just way, way better. So a bridle path is just indicative of those that are trying to make a bridle or a halter fit a little better. But it's more for looks, I believe, and instead of function. Bonnie says, I've heard of horses of the same color attracted to each other, but how can that be? Because how does a horse know what color he is to begin with? Well, Bonnie, I'd imagine that they look at themselves a little bit and they think, I'm a particular shade in color. They're not completely colorblind. That's the thing about horses. Not like, I think dogs are mostly colorblind. Birds are completely colorblind. Proven by science that the rods in their eyes or something just don't exist or something along those lines.
I saw a really neat chart actually about the color spectrum a dog sees versus what a human sees.
Yeah.
And there actually is
Not that colorblind?
No.
No?
I mean, they definitely don't see what we see.
No.
But yeah, it's not colorblind at all.
No. Neither are horses.
Yeah.
So horses will see in some shades and a lot of shades, but some colors. Greens show up really well, my understanding. Yellows. So that end. And then, so I think that a horse would happily understand that their color by looking at themselves is different than another color of a horse that, like for Lena, would be a brown. So she'll see herself as a It's probably a yellowy brownish color, whereas Tana's just pure black and white. You should definitely see those two shades of color with black and white. And so my funny comment was, I wonder if horses look at other horses and think, you're the wrong color. What's wrong with you? That was my comments. Um, and yeah, I mean, horses of the same color there seems to be a clear pattern that they'll stick with each other. The bays will go with the bays, the palominos will stick together, the chestnuts will stick together, and maybe that way. I mean, if we have the time to put Tana and Lena in together, see if they stick together compared to running off with the others. So. Thomas had asked why Tana doesn't seem to like Lena. I don't know if it's not like or not. When we talk about like and love in horses, we're really anthropomorphizing them by putting our human emotion of like and love. I think that if Lena starts to wander off, Tana will kind of go with her. If Tana wanders off, Lena goes with her. I think that they're a herd, but they're a specific hierarchy that needs to be set and stayed. So when Lena comes up asking, she might be coming up asking, we don't know what they're saying. She might be coming up and saying, hey, can you scratch my back? And Tana's like, I don't scratch backs, take off. And so Lena has to wander off a little. And so there is some horsey language kind of going on there where we don't really know. It could be anything. Like the boys walking up to the girls, and the girls are like, no, get away from me because I don't want to whatever with you, and I don't want you as my chaperone or whatever. So it may not be about like or love. It might be just a preference. Look, keep your space, would you? You smell funny. I don't know. Maybe something like that. Yeah. There's an extension cord where the fire wood is, and you just plug it into the lights. What's this, a jacket?
Yeah.
This is not my black jacket.
No, because my black jacket's over here.
That's my black jacket, though.
It is not your black jacket.
It looks like my black jacket because I've been wearing it.
It's my present.
I still think it's my black jacket. See, Jen's not here to hear this, but I could say it's definitely my black jacket. I have to wear my brown jacket. A little chilly on my back, but pretty warm on the front. We're burning wood that doesn't put off a lot of heat. It's not a harder wood, it's a softer wood. Softer woods put off less heat. So, not as hot as a fire our other ones have been. Oh, Jen's got the lights on. Our nice yard lights. I don't know if you can see it in the... Oh yeah, I can see a little bit. Looks nice. Okay, had a great long comment recently come in from Lori B 2851. And what do you got there?
It's a raspberry lemon Danish.
Holy crap, I don't know if I should eat this. All right. You twisted my rubber arm, man. Hurts. Better eat your sweets. I did a live stream a while back. I don't know if anybody of you guys were around to watch it. But I was working with Luke, trying to get him to what was I doing? I was riding. How was it called? Is it Luke or Lena?
Have you put Tana in with Gracie?
No.
Would you?
Yeah, I think Gracie could learn a little bit from Tana. Probably how to take a hit. Bam! I was either working with Luke or Lena. But I'm always working, if I'm working on a live stream on something like that, usually I'm trying to work on, or explain to people how to work on using your hands less and using your body more to get things done, turns and stops and goes, make sure they're all really light and accurate. And so Lori said, so I'm really gonna have to study this video. I've only been on a horse one time. I didn't have the opportunity to learn anything at all because the horse I was on simply followed my friend's horse ahead of me. Now, I've had these conversations, geez, it feels like I have these conversations all the time, but it was recently. And the idea of hopping on your horse and going with a friend and just going along for the ride uh, can be nice. But if you're sort of striving for more, and if you're on this channel, you're probably striving for a bit more, you can tend to get a little bit too complacent, and so can your horse. So this is a very common thing. You just kind of go along for the ride. So she goes on, and she says, quite a few years ago, and all I remember asked at the end of the ride, hey, how do I stop her? The answer was, just say, whoa. And I guess it worked. I guess the horse was pretty broke, and if you say whoa, it stops. So that's good. But she'd like to go out and ride and whatnot, and learn a little bit better. So there's two things that I wanted to just quickly kind of talk about. One is a lot of times you go to experience horses. So they'll say, oh, you can ride a horse, and that horse will just be what's referred to as push button, and or they might just follow another horse really well, and it can be a nice experience to just be able to ride along and tool along on the horse. But I never recommend people to do that with their own horses because you're probably going to want to make sure that you can understand where your gaps are. And if you take another horse along for the ride, then there's a pretty good chance you're not going to find those gaps because you'll just be relying on the horse that's really good at stuff for your horse to follow along with and just herd up with. The other thing is it's a big deal to want to get into horses. And when you get into the horses and you start to experience them in these very controlled environments and atmospheres, when you actually get into horses, you start to realize that there's way, way more to it. And it can be quite intimidating. And I really, really look forward to hearing more about places that tell exactly what it's about. I mean, it might be a little discouraging, but presented in a nice, proper way, it can be more preparation for what it actually is about, rather than being sort of in it and like, whoa, I'm in this now. This is crazy talk. There's so many horses that get bought and sold because people realize that it's way more work than what they originally thought, or way more dangerous than they originally thought. Usually from falling off or getting stepped on. Right now. Somebody made a joke about me?
Yep.
Oh, man. More jokes about me.
Anyway, David was saying he's been watching Warwick Schiller. I saw his explanation for any horse being picked on by the herd. He talked about any new horse not being horse enough, and they were teaching it to be a horse. It reminded me of your video on Gracie when she first came in with your herd for first few times.
I like Warwick. He's got a lot of good stuff to say.
And then KK Doc added to that. How do you teach a horse to be a horse, Dave? They need to teach you, I'm thinking.
You don't teach a horse how to be a horse. But what you do is put them in with horses that are good at teaching horses how to be a horse. Some horses are really good at that. I think Peggy's good at that. I think Lena's good at that. I think Luke is good at that. I don't know if Macaroni is. Luke's probably really good at it, yeah. But he'll be more of a guider. Peggy's quite good because she'll sort of babysit a little and be tolerant. But putting them in with other horses as fast as you can for as long as you can is the very best for horses that are socially inept from a horse perspective. That's why Gracie almost always has a buddy in her paddock. And she still kind of sucks. Oh well. Not too many questions in the comments to really actually have to get back to. So we just end up enjoying the evening of
Is
cheat
there
chat.
a horse you wouldn't put Gracie with?
A horse that I wouldn't put Gracie with. I think she'd maybe beat the crap out of Springer if I wasn't careful. No. Has she been in with Springer? Did I put her in with Springer and they did okay? I have this recollection that I
yeah.
did and they were pretty good.
They originally we thought would do great together, and then we put them in the paddock together, and it didn't go well.
Oh yeah?
Remember? She was too pushy.
Kicked them out, couldn't eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we separated them again, but they did fine in the arena together.
Yeah, in the arena, I don't know if there'd be any horse that I wouldn't.
She just hasn't been with Tana yet, but has
No.
she been in with Sky?
No.
But you just wouldn't bother?
Sky's short term. He's only got a week or so left, and I don't know what he would do with her. She'd probably squeal like a banshee at him, and then he'd have to tell her to take off or something, and then she'd shake her head around and just watch a nervous wreck running around for a little while. I don't know. No, I think any horse would probably go. Gracie could give it a go and in the arena, but not to live together, not to be in the same paddock and eat together. Only a couple horses so far that really tolerate her well enough. This is crunchy over there.
How would you introduce a horse to a herd if space for separation was limited? Definition of limited.
Space for separation. Well, let's go. I mean, is the herd in a pasture? Are they all in paddocks and then you want them to go and meet each other one by one to the herd? It's hard to know without knowing a little bit better circles. Okay, well, let's just cover both. What the heck? If all the horses were out in a pasture and
the herd is in a huge pasture.
I'd just chuck them in.
And good luck.
Chuck them in, let them run it out. A huge pasture means that there's going to be a lot of escape routes, and horses are pretty efficient with their energy. They're not just going to go chase some other horse down as long as that horse is moving its feet. Now, if that horse is more top dog or top horse and wants to assert that it's top horse, well, there's going to be an argument that's going to need to happen anyways. Trying to prevent, some people will yell at the horses and try to get them to stop, and some people will actually, crazily enough, try to get in the middle of arguing horses. It's just nuts. They have to work it out. They are simple animals that live and die in the hierarchy of their herd. And you don't have a lot of options in that regard, because sooner or later, whether you keep them separate with a fence, if you, in the end, if you're going to put them all together, you might just inflame tensions a bit more by keeping them across the fence line for a week or something. You might as well just chuck them in, but chuck them in an open space. Don't put them in the gate with 10 horses hanging around the gate. Send all the other horses away, then let them go so they can go find an open space. It's like playing tag in the playground. You don't want to get, everybody starts in a nice clear open area. So set it up so that the horse can escape. If it's an injured horse, then don't put it in. Obviously, it's probably going to get the poop kicked out of it. But if it's a healthy horse, then just set it up to go well by, sending it off or letting it go when all the other horses are not crowded around. And you can sort of make a choice to pick a direction and see because other horses will start to present themselves when you bring that horse in. They'll be coming in to see if they're going to be a higher or lower horse. And based on the posturing that happens of the new horse, will determine whether or not other horses will be like, well, I think I'm out, or whether or not they're going to be in for the fight. Like, nope, I'm in. I'm still in. I don't care how much you posture. Let's have this conversation. And then they might do some squealing. They might do some rearing. They might, turn their butt around. You've seen all the behaviors here in a more milder form. Maybe it will be less. Maybe everybody just gets sorted immediately. Maybe that horse will be docile and just say, no, I'm good. I'll be at the bottom.
She's saying that she thinks that sort of that needs to get worked out no matter what. The hierarchy will have to get sorted out.
The hierarchy will always get sorted out sooner or later. You have to let it happen. But set it up for success just by making sure that horse isn't let go in a trapped condition.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that'd be about it. That'd be about it. Fire smells good. It's nice to have a fire. I could shuffle a little closer though, I gotta admit. It's not the hottest fire. Yeah, that's there.
Yeah. I'm gonna put on my jacket.
You're putting on my black jacket?
It's not your jacket.
Oh.
Where'd you even? My heat pack is gone.
No, it's just on the table where you left it.
Oh, even though I haven't worn it.
You left it there because you were using it for your iPhone.
Oh. Is this the jacket I was wearing when I was doing my live stream in the shop?
I don't recall you doing a live stream.
You don't recall me doing that? Because my jacket was doing it.
I don't know.
I don't know either. What if we look similar?
No.
You don't think so? Lots of couples look like they could be siblings.
Whoa, no. Not us.
No? You don't think we look very similar?
No.
Oh. I don't know if that sounds right. No.
Well, it's just totally different.
Okay, 2 questions.
Wow.
Well, first is KK Dog says, I could watch horse chats all day long. It seems there's always a rear when first meeting, and is that more common with mares?
Let's talk about rearing a little bit. Tana's a bit of a rearer. Some horses are rear, some are just escapers, kickers, strikers, whatever, biters.
Do boys rear?
Yep.
I mean, what I think. Yeah.
So horses meet each other and they rear up or something like that. Rearing is simply, whether it's for horses or humans, or directed to horses or humans. Rearing is a lack of either ability or desire for the horse to move its feet. So sometimes you might see somebody riding a horse and they're pulling and they're pulling and they're smacking and they're kicking and they're doing all kinds of pressure, and the horse rears up and falls right over. Really super sad cases. Very, very sad. Totally preventable. Horses rear because they're stuck. Their back feet won't move. And so the only thing that they know what to do to get out of pressure is to rear up. In the cases usually when it's horse to horse, they're rearing up to get taller, bigger, because pretty soon they want to leap on top of and squish down into the ground the lesser horse. So sometimes what it'll be is the horse that gets up higher wins. That's pretty normal. That's totally imaginable in many cases. But some of them will do it out of just pure fear. And if they're doing it with a human, they're likely doing it because they're so terrified that they've stopped moving their back feet, and their only direction they can think to go is up. It doesn't mean they're going to strike. It doesn't mean they're going to leap towards you. Some do, so be aware. I've avoided a few of my own accidents in that regard, but they're all human-caused things, so you have to take some responsibility for the reaction that you get.
Dave is asking,
Fire is nice.
is the hierarchy shift and change So can it be fluid, basically? Can it keep shifting and changing?
The hierarchy is always changing. Um, if you have enough horses, yes, you will see a change. If there's just a few horses, usually there's very little change, but it does happen. And you'll see it all the time with horses and humans. The hierarchy shifts. I mean, it doesn't take much to sort of lose that edge over the horse because they are always looking to be on top. Just imagine that they are always checking in to see if they're getting to a higher position, which is going to be higher than you. They're always looking to be higher up. It's just easy. It's Mother Nature. You just got to be at the top of the food chain or the top of the herd to be not at the bottom, which is the chain of events of food for other creatures.
Nancy's asking, why is it okay to have square corners for an arena, but so many in the horse world would advocate no choke points?
Ooh, yay for controversial questions. I love these ones. Okay. Square and round corners. Choke points for horse and horse. There's something to be said for not having corners when you have horses, just horses. Rounding them off can lead to an ability to escape as the horse that is being chased isn't more pinned in. There's geometrically speaking, there are more angles for escape on a round corner than there is on a square corner. So there is some value there. It is highly unusual for a horse to get stuck in a corner. It happens once in a while. But there is something to be said for if you got yourself stuck in that corner, you dumb, animal, maybe this will be your opportunity to learn not to go into a corner and instead cut that corner before you get forced into the corner somehow. So that's also human. It's another human caused thing that you've made it an area for horses to be in, and they haven't experienced. Horses will usually experience that once or twice in their time before they learn, don't go in the corner because you're going to get trapped and then you're going to get kicked or bit or whatever, and it's not going to be good. But it does happen. So there is some value there. So if that's what you're asking for, yeah, it's true, but there's something to be said for horses to learn a little bit about that. And you could even teach them by trapping them in the corner, but letting them escape. And then they might clue in that going into the corner is a bad idea. That's the horse-to-horse environment. If we talk about horse and human, she said anything further on this or no? Okay. The horse to human. So a lot of places use a round pen. If you're working a horse, don't work them in places with corners like an arena. Use a rounded corner arena or a round pen. And I did a video called Why I Don't Use a Round Pen. And I explain it all there. But essentially, I believe, for the most part, round pens are to accommodate humans because we suck at determining how to give a horse an escape route. And so they end up sort of getting chased into the corner, and then we expect them to make their way out and not feel trapped. But I think it's just poor horsemanship that leads them to be driven into a corner. If they do get into the corner, you should know well enough how to get them out of the corner by giving them a clear and obvious escape route to get them out or draw them out of that corner. So I myself don't use a round pen. One, because it's an inefficient use of space for the space that we have. If I had a huge space, I might have one. It's easier for the human to work a horse in a round area than it is a square area, because many horses will escape to a corner because it's the farthest point they can get from that mean human that's bothering them. But hopefully that's not you. That's not how you're training. Hopefully you're not chasing them into corners. Hopefully you're working with them so they don't feel like they have to make it into that corner, or you're applying the correct and timely pressure to have them not go to that corner, or if they do, they don't stay there long at all, because you've given very clear and obvious indications of how they can get out. So I actually think that by having corners, it will show gaps in your training than the round cornered ones will, or round pens will, as they will hide the gaps because the horse can only go round. It doesn't have an escape. It's not looking to escape, so you might not discover that there is an actual escape. So that's my opinion, for what it's worth.
Do you think horses are affected by moving from one place home to another, like dogs or kids in separated family, for example?
Yeah, in case you didn't hear it, the question is, do you think dogs, or do you think horses are affected by changing environments, like dogs or kids or whatever? Even adults can be quite bothered by changing houses. The difference is adults usually sell their house and they buy another one, so they want to go there. Kids, dogs, cats, horses, animals, pets, whatever, that are more open and free to be around, will be bothered more. I think for horses, if they are leaving their herd to go to another herd, yes. If you're taking your herd with you, then no. I think they're fine. I think they just have to acclimate to the new area, understand the new sounds, the fence lines, whatever that may be. If you have to take a horse away from its buddies and its safety herd and put it in a brand new herd, that can be kind of stressful and hard on them, because they have to make new friends and they're sort of hoping for the best. It takes a little while for them to do it, to acclimate into a herd. So I think it's hard on them, yeah, if that's the case.
I've noticed that Lena follows you in her paddock. Does it mean something when they do that in the arena? I don't see that happening as much there. Just wondering what creates the draw.
Oh my goodness. Who's this?
KK Doc.
KK Doc. Go look for the video that I did called How to Find a Good Horse Trainer. If you think you haven't seen my horses follow me around in an arena, you gotta watch this stupid video. Oh, it's just silly. I never meant for it to turn out the way it turned out, but it's kind of appropriate. You've noticed Lena follows me. Yeah.
She wants scritchy scratches.
Lena's just such a soft buttercup of goodness.
I want to be called a buttercup of goodness.
Yeah.
You say, yeah. I meant it.
So, Lena does follow me around in the arena as well. Sometimes the boys will, depending on if I'm working with them, if I'm doing drive draw. Gracie tends not to. The girls will tend more to than the boys, I suppose. What does it mean when they do it in the arena? For Lena, it means she'd like some. She's a little itchy. If we could just get to these spots, it'd be wonderful. But on those more natural, like I'm not doing anything, I'm just walking through the thing. Maybe I'm picking up some poop or something like that, or I'm doing whatever. I'm moving barrels around. Having them follow me around is just pure, desire to hang around. Sometimes, once in a while, they'll do it for protection. Springer will do it for protection. He figures if he hangs around with me, nobody else is going to bug him, which is true. I'll usually send them all off, and he can just hang around with me. If I'm working horses, though, and I don't have them on a lead or a halter, they will follow because I have draw. And that is no different than the other catchphrases out there about hooking on, or what's the other one? Joining up, or there's a couple of these weird catchphrases out there. But essentially, they're not doing anything different than they would do with a horse that is higher than them. If you watch Springer and Luke, Luke will wander around, Springer will follow on his quarter. And just, if Luke stops, Springer stops. He's just connected up with him really well, and stays with him for safety purposes. You really want that. You want horses to be with you for safety purposes. That's why treats and foods and apples and candies and carrots and stuff like that have zero effect on that, because food does not provide safety to horses. They'd like to be fed, but it doesn't give them a feeling of safety, like prey animals do. So, does that answer your question? Go check out that video, how to find a good horse trainer. It's ridiculous. You'll probably laugh. At least you'll have a good laugh.
No more questions.
No more questions.
Not yet.
Cool, man. I'm enjoying the fire. It's nice at this distance. It's got a little bit of heat to it, but you can still feel the night. See the stars. Had a full moon, I think, last night, or mostly full moon. Beautiful moon coming up from the east. Fire smells good. It's burning nice and hot. Looks good. It's quiet. Can't barely hear the horses eating, actually. It's unusual. Anybody writing anything interesting?
Yeah. We just got another donation. Our third or fourth.
Well, get out of here.
Olive just did $9.99.
Oh,
she
man.
Said, buy some s'mores.
Oh, you guys are the best. It's s'mores. I kind of like s'mores. I like chocolate. We have marshmallows, but I don't think we need to cook any up because we had some Danish thing. I didn't eat all of mine. I didn't want it all. It's too much.
It's not the best either.
Sugary.
I kept hoping the middle would get better, but
pastry and sugar.
It didn't get any better.
What's
Get
that?
enough s'more for all of us.
Well, we have a sign in the
S'more the merrier.
in the house.
Oh no.
What's that one?
The s'mores and marshmallows and people get toasted?
No.
No, the s'more the merrier.
Yeah, the s'more the merrier. The inside fire. The weather's just been for tomorrow. Not tomorrow. So tomorrow's Sunday. It's supposed to be absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Easter Sunday, but Easter Monday, is supposed to just be a wreck of weather, just pouring rain, and then sunny again on Tuesday or something. But we're lucky. We've got this. Are my boots cooking? Why does it smell funny? It smells like burning rubber of some sorts. They're not sticking or anything. I'm not leaving any tracks. Dull cooking boots. I can't even feel it through the.
Yeah, don't.
Thought I could smell a mild rubber smell. It's not the phone. Loud frogs. I don't think the microphone will pick it up. Nah, frogs are too far away, probably. Probably too far away. Jen's off to find some more firewood. Where are you going? She's gone. It's into the dark. Yeah, I did a quick Horsey video this morning. It's just such a beautiful day. So I got to share it in some way somehow, but what do you got there? What are you doing? Oh. I don't know if you need any more cedar on there, do you think? Just checking. It looks pretty odd to me. Chop some more wood. Taught my 8-year-old how to chop wood with an axe. That was fun. It's mildly scary. You never know what you're going to get when you're teaching kids stuff that's got some risk to it. You always just hope for the best sometimes. She did really well. She chopped up a few good pieces. Makes her feel good. Got some video of it, come to think of it, actually. She's like, "Roar, I'm so strong." It's adorable.
Oh.
A lot of wood to chop left.
I've yet to see you feed grain to your horses. Are they all the time on hay?
Grain, It's highly unusual for us to bother with anymore. The hay that we get is tested, so we're always making sure that they've got a lot of the things that they need. We don't see signs of deficiencies in our horses. Some people find that their horses are having problems with one thing or another. Our horses grow great hooves, great hair, teeth are good, they've got piles of energy. So we don't see any need to really supplement. We might do some salt or maybe for some warm treats in the winter for sure.
Yeah, the colder winter we did.
Colder
more.
winter, we'll put together some warm alfalfa mash cube, just alfalfa cubes with some beet pulp with sort of boiling water put into have them. By the time we get out to them, it's not that hot, but
Still warm.
It's pretty warm.
Yeah.
So we figure it's kind of a nice. We don't even know. We have no idea, but we just figure it's a nice treat for them to have.
And they eat it up.
Eat it up pretty darn
Yeah,
quick.
they
And we'll
like
put
it.
salt in that. We used to use some magnesium oxide, flaxseed, things like that. But it's quite tedious, and we weren't seeing the benefits that justify the cost nor the effort. And our horses don't appear to be showing any deficiencies, so grain is highly unusual for us to provide. They're all pretty shiny and growing well and lots of muscle and probably too chubby for their own good, but in some cases.
Carla was saying that in her area, everyone feeds sweet feeds or pellets. Is hay only common in Canada or just your preference? Lots of people do pellets and sweet feed here.
No, there are piles of people that are just killing their horses through sweet feed and non-digestible grain.
What? Hi, buddy.
It's not. It's not. I don't know how to say this. There's many cases that it's very unhealthy for the horse. It's proven over and over again through other science that I'm not going to show here, obviously on a live stream. But there's plenty of papers and studies done that sweet feeds need to be completely eliminated from horses' diets. It is tasty, but it is essentially, you might as well just feed your kids donuts nonstop kind of thing. It causes all kinds of problems. Metabolic, blood, hoof problems, energy problems, it's not good.
Okay, so that led a bunch to, did you get your hay sorted out? And how did you get your hay tested? And what hay type are they on?
So to follow up with the first question was, yes, all of our horses are just almost completely just on hay. Now, it doesn't mean that we couldn't give some kind of supplement with extra vitamins in it, the omega fatty stuff. But like I said, we haven't seen the benefits of it that justify the extra cost. And the stone is actually never hot. So yes, the hay guys have been absolutely wonderful and accommodating. The hay that we get tested, they test it, and we're provided the sheet from the company that does the testing of the hay. So we review the sheet and determine whether it's the hay for us. Now, I hadn't reviewed the sheet. I trusted the hay company that they only get good hay. He was under the impression that a lot of people want low sugar hay. And there are a few people out there for sure, but there are many that aren't interested in low sugar hay. And we aren't. We don't need it. I mean, maybe it'd be good for a couple of horses here that you could lose weight and stuff, but we already limit the amount of hay that they eat by using small hold hay bags. And we definitely don't want a high sugar hay. So we definitely wouldn't accept anything that's sitting in the 15 plus range. That would just be excessive amounts of sugar. We're looking for anything somewhere around 10. Low sugar hay is usually a 5 to 6%, 5 to maybe 8% sugar. Is he toasty?
Toasty dog.
Yeah. And Zeus here in front of the fire, being toasty. You being toasty, Zeus? Just stares at me. So we would kind of hope for 10 to 12%. Just basic sugar, good proteins, good mineral balances. So they have taken a bunch out that we didn't need. They sold them off to people that are local here. I said you could use my place a little bit of a storage place if you want to sell it out. We'll keep some of it. It's not all bad, and the horses are a little more acclimated to it now, so they're eating it. But preference to a more normal hay is what we want.
This is actually something that's come up a few times lately. Do horses ever colic on hay only diet?
Yes, horses colic all the time on hay only diets. What they don't colic on is constant eating of hay diets. Horses colic on intermittent fasting hay diets. So if you if you go about feeding your horse once in the morning and once at night, a couple flakes here, a couple flakes there, you might be getting in the 25 pounds of hay roundabouts that they might need, depending on their weight, right? Go at 2.5% of their body weight, which would be 25 pounds for a 1,000-pound animal. So we'll go with that. Just imagine your horse 1,000 pounds, feed 25 pounds of hay. It's pretty healthy. What has been determined as pretty healthy, 25 pounds. So you've determined that because you've measured your flakes, and in 4 flakes of hay is 25 pounds. So you feed 2 in the morning and 2 at night. So this gets into the biological portion of the horse and how their intestines and their stomach work. They work nothing like a human's digestive system. And that's something that people miss, which is another reason why grains are such a terrible idea, because horses can't really digest all that and they actually have a lot of trouble. But the idea of doing 2 flakes in the morning, 2 flakes at night, which is very common. Some people do a middle feeding, a lunch feeding, which is a little bit better. But the problem is that the horses, okay, let's work through it. So say we just start in the morning, 2 flakes. So you give them 12.5 pounds of hay, 6 o'clock in the morning or something. Maybe you're an early bird, you get up 6 o'clock in the morning, you dump it in wherever they are. And maybe you don't use hay bags. Maybe you do use hay bags. If you do, you're a different sort. If it's more common, you dump them on the ground. They go through that. They probably burn through a couple of flakes. I don't know. Let's say it's a really super slow horse and it takes 4 hours to go through 12 pounds of hay. Your next feeding again might be in the evening. So say it's 12 hours later. You now have a horse that has not eaten for 8 hours. Now they've got another 12 pounds of hay in front of them, and they haven't eaten for 8 hours. Unlike us, that can fast healthily, relatively healthily, horses' stomachs work different. They are constantly producing acid in their stomach, and I mean constant. It never stops. So when they stop eating and their stomach empties out, because their intestines and their stomach are constantly moving, constantly working through the hay in their body. Their stomach empties out, the acid builds and builds and builds and builds, and only 2/3 of their stomach is actually coated to protect against the acid. If you've ever had an ulcer, you can imagine what 80% of the horses that are out there in domestic world are living their life, that are fed like this. They have ulcers. That acid is burning the top of their stomach. The bottom of their stomach is more well protected, but the top of their stomach isn't. So anytime they start to walk around or jump or move or lie down, their stomach is getting eaten by their own stomach acid, because they're going 8 hours, probably maybe 6 hours. Maybe, we'll just imagine that they eat for 4 hours. It takes another 2 hours for their stomach to empty out. And so now we've got 6 hours of acid buildup, and that's for half the day. And then they get their food and they're starving and their stomach hurts. They know that when they eat hay, it makes that pain go away. So they scarf it down as fast as they can because they're starving for one. Horses live in the moment. They certainly can't pre-plan their own meals like, well, I guess I'll eat half this flake now and half later and I'll be better off. They scarf it down as fast as they can. And, you know, another 6 to 8 hours of starvation. In the morning, you come back again. They scarf it down. So then your intestines they're getting empty, full, empty, full, empty, full. And sooner or later they block up, especially if they haven't had enough water. And that doesn't flow as well. And bam, you got colic. You could talk to a lot of vets, and I bet the majority of them would agree with the statistic that 90% of colic cases are caused through poor feeding practices. And then there, of course, are some where the intestines get turned around or twisted or things like that. There's actual surgery needs to happen. But most of the time, vets are showing up, shoving water inside of the horse, maybe through their butt, maybe into their stomach or through their mouth, and just trying to hydrate that horse up. So it's a sad thing. So yeah, horses can colic off of hay due to the practice of feeding. So it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. And more people are changing off of sweet feeds as laminitic and foundered horses are all over the place, and they go searching for help. And the first thing people recommend for them to do, change a diet. That's the immediate thing. You'll have just a whole phalanx of people just coming along saying, change the diet, no more sweet feed, stop feeding grain, and they'll be all over you. So you have to be careful where you go for help. But
somebody said, what about feeding your horses oats? And then Marianne said oats is kind of like an energy bar, perhaps. They gives quick energy.
I would question why feed oats, not why not, but why feed it. So if you want to give them energy, just feed them constantly. You know, if your horse is running out of energy, it's probably run out of food for a while. I've never had an issue where I've needed to give my horse more energy. I need to give him a power bar sort of thing.
Well, if
but
we're going to go on a trail ride, we might give a flake out loose.
Yeah,
so
if
extra hay quick.
Yeah, if we're going to go on a trail ride or something like that, I'll load them up with a flake on the ground.
While getting ready. Hey.
Yeah, oh, you hear something. While getting ready, tacking up or getting ready or something like that, so they can really load up their stomach. But generally, they've got a lot on their stomach, so.
Ever tried blue-green algae supplement?
Nope,
I don't think so.
I've never tried a blue-green algae supplement. I've heard of it, and I've heard good things. But again, it's another one of those things that it's like supplements in the human world as well. None of this stuff is properly sort of tested, or there's scientific papers behind, or some kind of regulatory body is saying, yeah, it's a good idea, do this. They're all sort of anecdotal things. So it's hard to say, you know. It's hard.
Carla, I'm pouring.
Hard to recommend exactly these things. I haven't tried. I've heard good things, but again, like a lot of things you hear about, is it really good? Is it worth the cost? It's gonna help my horses who are already full of energy and running around like Nutter Butters and happy and healthy and good hooves and good hair and good teeth and good growth and good muscle and good fat content and stuff. You know, if it's working, should you change it? Some say no. Some say yes.
KK is saying they don't eat at night, or do they? In the wild, is it actually 24/7?
Horses only sleep for a couple hours. The rest of the time they're eating. You go watch them in the wild, they are perpetually grazing. They are grazing 22 hours out of the day. Yes, that's an absolute yes.
Interesting. What if they are on natural pasture all day during spring, summer, and fall? How's the digestion?
Usually horses get very fat off of natural pasture, I guess you could call it. Like some people have got pastures and 20 acres or something like that, and they've got their horses out and they're eating all that spring and summer grass. Most of those horses get fat. The grass is too rich, and then they'll founder, they'll get laminitic, and they'll be fat, and they'll go on to some help group somewhere, and the first thing people yell out, diet, get them off of the pasture. So common now. There's so much more science about grass for horses, domesticated horses more than anything. Our grass is too rich, it's too sugary, it's too sweet, it's got too much content for the horses, and it's killing them.
Krista was saying she'd seen other people talk about oats being good, so she just wanted your opinion. I said it's always good to ask questions. We're always learning.
I've never really, oats don't get processed. You feed horses oats and they come out almost the same way they went in. So I question the idea of giving horses oats because they don't get a lot out of them. If they're going to get much out of them, it might be some of the oils out of the oats. But the food value of oats is just really, really, from my understanding through the studying and understanding I've done, has just come from old school, old style, long, long time ago. And it'd be rolled oats or stone cut oats or something like that. There is some benefit to oat flour. If you have a horse that does have ulcers, if it does have ulcers in its hind gut, you can actually feed your horse a cup or two of oat flour. There's another term, Scottish porridge, I think is also another term for it. It's really crushed up oats, really super crushed up. What will happen is it'll actually sort of congeal a little bit and sort of paste the understanding is that it sort of pastes the inside of the gut and can protect against hind gut ulcers and some stomach ulcers. Now, again, it comes down to, do you believe all this stuff? Is there true science behind it? But I've personally seen benefits, but again, I'm anecdotal. It's not a scientific paper that I'm going to be putting out, but we've seen benefits of doing that has helped. Luke's got the sensitive stomach. So good questions though. Oats, oat grass is pretty good. If you can grow some oat grass and have the horses eat that stuff, good fibers, things like that. But straight oats, like dried oats or roll oats, just the oats that come out of the grass and they just squish them, make them a little more palatable. Yeah, but we don't. They're expensive too. They cost a lot in the long run.
My phone's gonna die, but I can't find the charger thing.
No. How much juice has it got?
It just said things about to close.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Oh, Marianne's going to bed.
9:40. I don't know if Patricia ever made it in. Did you see anything from Patricia? She was actually wondering when we're doing our live stream. I sent a message.
No.
But I didn't see her respond at all. So.
Huh. I think making horses' lives better by teaching others is his calling. He was made for this. That's why his brain soaks up all this information.
This is this?
Carla.
Thanks, Carla. Yeah, for when I was a kid, so this is just same thing, but bigger.
Okay.
If your phone dies.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I played sports and stuff, and I was pretty good at stuff, and I got told one time I was he's a natural. I don't know. And then there came a time when I sucked at a lot of stuff, and I felt like I'd been sort of set up, not necessarily to fail, but not set up to understand the difficulty of things by being just said, well, he's a natural. So if you're a natural, everything should just come easy. So at some point in time, I can't remember what it was, I started to look up, what is this idea of being a natural? What is it about being able to do things? And I started getting into studies about Van Gogh and Michelangelo and Beethoven and all of these people that creates works of art. Beethoven could play the piano at age, what was it, 4 or something stupid? He was really super young. And everybody said, "Oh, he's a natural at playing the piano." And the thing about, so getting into something a little bit more philosophical here for a second, but the thing about being good at something is exactly what Carla said. If you really like something, if you really are interested in something, you appear to be a natural at it because you are so willing to learn and absorb and keep that information because you feel like you're going to use it again. I mean, if somebody said to me now, what has been something that I don't know, if I could think of something that I've learned, social studies, hated social studies. And even still, to this day, I still kind of suck at geography, even though I like it now. But I hated it when I was a kid. I can't remember anything. And that's the way it goes. But I was good at sports because I like sports. So Carla's hit the nail on the head. This stuff, um, it really interests me. I'm very interested. There's so many things to learn and pick up. And then on the other side of it, I like teaching. So thanks, Carla, for sort of pointing that out and making real. Every once in a while, I like a little reminder of I like this stuff because some days you don't like it. Some days it, no, why are you doing that? I don't want to do this anymore.
Gracie today.
Gracie sometimes. What a
Trying
pass.
to get her into the arena.
So
Sure.
you know
Yeah.
it's there is so much to learn, so many facets of it, and so many people to. We heard today that somebody had said some crap about me, a local person even, and it was never verified. We don't really know and stuff like that, and so there's also that side of it where you're like, man, I'm just trying to do some good, even though I've got an opinion. If I talk about that 2 flakes in the morning, 2 flakes at night, there are going to be people that'll be pissed. They'll be really angry. I brought that up. That's how I feel. What's wrong with that? And they'll be really mad. And I've not said anything to them. I don't know them. I'm not around them. I'm citing pure science. I mean, this isn't an opinion, but people will be really angry at some of the things I'll bring out. But I constantly have people say, "I'm really glad you're bringing more awareness to a particular area, despite the flack that comes with it."
Carlos
So,
says there's been very few questions you haven't been able to give a fair and illogical answer. Don't let it go to your head, but you are very intelligent.
oh geez, don't let it go to my head. Jen says that to me every day.
I do. What? Well, I say you're very smart.
You
Don't
say, "Don't let it go to your head."
Oh, stop it. I say you're
Don't
very
let don't let
intelligent.
your head gets any bigger. It's not going to fit through the door.
I do not. I have never said that to you.
You have to.
We already know your head's
You can't
too
lie
big.
online.
We already know this too big. Isis actually typed in.
Isis is here.
Yeah. She says Malcolm Gladwell says 10,000 hours, but some do seem hours of. I don't know. I'm not even really sure what you were talking
Isis,
about.
you're going to have to extrapolate on whatever it is you're talking
I
about.
thought I missed it when I went.
Nobody
into
knows who
Slack.
Max is, so.
Malcolm Gladwell.
Oh,
I
crap.
said, not Max.
All right, Malcolm.
Okay. KK says, I totally understand what you're saying. I feel the same way and love teaching and sharing what I do.
Yeah.
Sue says, I've learned so much just by watching the horses in the arena and your comments.
Yeah, watching horses. I mean, I don't think anybody's taught me more about horses than horses. And I mean, if you guys watch the stuff on this channel, you're probably watching about 5% of what I watch. Maybe. Because there's many times I don't take out the camera. I put them out, they're out, I watch them, I sit around and I stare. I'm intent. So I'm not staring at a camera anymore. I can actually look at them in real person. But man, they can teach you. So, if you guys ever get bored, I don't put up a video or something, just go back and watch one of those ones and just watch that interaction. If you want, mute me. You never know. I mean, I might be saying crap and you'll look at it without me talking. You think, hey, wait a second. I think you're wrong. Or I think there's a modification there. Or what about this option? Um, and it happens all the time. So. Has Isis followed up with her Malcolm thing?
I'm just trying to read. Yeah, see? I was right. I got it, Isis. 10,000 hours to practice to master something. That is what the theory is. If you spend 10,000 hours doing it, you should be able to become a master at it. But other people, there is that sort of more innate, sort of
Oh, I
natural.
see. So
For
if you're
others, if
not
you,
really interested in something, you got to spend 10,000 hours. If you're interested in it, probably less.
well, not necessarily interested, that's your thought. But the idea is gifted, per se.
Gifted.
That's interesting.
I think it's
That
very,
moth just about went in the fire. Did you see it?
yeah, Moth to the Fire.
Anyway, flame.
Janet
Ha, ha, ha.
Jackson.
What?
It's a song by Janet Jackson.
No one's. Okay. Carla says, just answer with read a book.
Read a book. I'm reading a book that's so intense I can't read more than a couple pages at a time.
Sue says she watches the old videos a lot. Barb says, I love the antics in the arena with your play-by-play observations. Elmcom, who just says, just call me M. All right. Elmcom.
You guys should ask Jen a question.
What? I don't know anything.
She knows lots of stuff. Don't let her tell you that.
What publications do you subscribe to? Any recommendations?
Publications?
Yeah.
None?
Huh?
None?
Isis is saying, what are you reading right now? Are you reading anything right now?
Books.
Oh, I know what you're reading.
I don't.
You're trying to get through that crazy book.
I'm trying to get through a book called Equitation Science.
Yeah.
And it's second edition, so it's got some new stuff supposedly in it and whatnot. It's super intense. It's really, there's so much material. It'll probably last me a year. So no, I don't have any subscriptions to anything. Actually, if I have any subscriptions to anything, I actually have subscriptions to a magazine called Cinefex, which is all about the movie industry. As you guys know, part of my job at this job is to make videos, but I'm highly interested in. This is rough. Oh, I better just pick this thing up. I was just gonna lay it there.
Well, I broke my wire now.
No, it's okay. I'm really interested in special effects and storytelling and things like that. So actually, if anything I subscribe to, not horse related, because I don't have any magazines that I'm subscribed to for horses, I find most of them kind of pointless and usually substanceless. I don't enjoy reading the stuff that's bite-sized in the magazines. But I do enjoy Cinefex, which is a subscription to understanding more about how the movie industry works for storytelling, special effects, cinematography, equipment, things like that. So I keep up to date on that a lot.
What are your thoughts on giving horse supplements? Do you think they are helpful in certain situations?
Yes, I think giving horse supplements are helpful in certain situations.
Sue actually said, Jen, do you ever get time to work with the horses yourself? I'm sure you probably assimilated, I don't think that was the right word, a lot from Graham by now. Lucky you. I knew nothing about horses and never spent any time with a horse other than 2 trail rides, sort of pre-set up trail rides before I met Graham. So luckily for me, everything I know came from him. And I spend a little bit of time with horses. Well, I'm always around the horses. I wouldn't call it training at all, but I think anytime you're interacting with a horse, we're both learning. Meaning me and the horse, not Graham. You see, the horse and I are I'm learning, and sometimes I'll call out and ask Graham for advice if I'm feeding, or I feel like I'm being crowded, or I'm not sure how to handle something. Yeah, I'm very lucky because my own personal trainer is right there beside me. So I just get to say, help, I don't know how to get, a few weeks ago I was trying to feed and Gracie just wouldn't get off of me. No matter how much noise I tried to make, I tried to use my hands. And I just kind of felt stumped in that moment. So we had to go back to, okay, groundwork with Gracie. So he walked me through it, and I did it. So it sort of is less set out to be training sessions and more sort of as we deal or as I'm helping him with horses, putting them in and out, feeding, grooming. In all those instances, you're training in a sense. And so yeah, that's what I do mostly with the horses. Clean up after them, get in their space, ask them to move them in and out. Yeah.
It can't be stressed enough that the majority of the dangerous situations that are going to happen are when you're up close with a horse. And the things that Jen is doing is up and close. When you go to feed or water or groom or lead them, capture them, let them go, all these things require that the horse listens. So without the understanding of how to do that with the right amount of pressure, with a good timing of release and stuff like that, Jen would be ineffective, but she's not. She's very effective, and I rarely pay attention to her because she just gets the job done. She already knows what to do. She's watched me enough times, probably as well, as when she asks questions that I just sort of give her tips. And pow, she just gets her done. I don't even think about it anymore. I just wonder, look over once in a while if it's a difficult situation, and it would be hard for me as well. If I look over and I think, ooh, that would be a tough one, I would probably do this, and then this, and I think, I wonder if she'll do that. 90% of the time she does it. The other 10%, I usually just kind of yell something out, just say, oh, move that one first. Maybe go to the corner, or, close the gate first before you do this, or something like that, or whatever. But Jen's pretty good, so I would say that she does a lot, more than she probably even knows. Because it's just coming so naturally, because this is all she does. Doesn't occur to her.
Thanks.
Better than
And
most.
sort of along that line, people always ask me how much I ride, and I think somebody asked, how often do I ride? Yeah, not very often.
Rarely.
I'm not a rider. I started on Macaroni, which wasn't the greatest choice.
Oh, he's okay. He's
Yeah,
fine.
but he's a speed demon, and I didn't know how to hold my seat. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Keep my seat. So, yeah, and I've done a few trail rides with Graham that I really enjoyed. I mean, it was fabulous, but I honestly just love being around them as much as I love being around Zeus in that way. I love watching them, grooming them, spending time with them, but less being on them. So, but I don't think I've had enough. Well, I haven't had enough hours. I wouldn't say that I've done enough to know if I would ever love it, but it just didn't come very natural to me. I like hugging them better. As weird as that sounds, but Catherine says, what you bring to those who follow you is based on science, observation, and application of that science, not just culture or tradition. Never back down. You always try to be fair and thoughtful. TY, which I'm assuming means thank you. Well, that is, I 100% agree with. I mean, I usually agree with people, but that one I think is powerful. That's what I always say. I find it interesting that you're very scientific. And so it makes sense.
Well, Zeus, is there something I can help you with? What a dork. What do you want? You want wants inside or something? Want inside?
What? Okay. You want to go inside? You all done? Come on.
Yeah. Zeus wants to go inside for sleepy sleeps. He's gone. He's faster than you. Let me in. Wow. What a good little cat. Okay, Zeus is indoors. He's an old dog, so he's probably gonna go to bed. Okay, statement about being sciencey. It's thank you for one thing. Thank you for such a great complimenting compliment. The thing that I find makes me more effective, also as a teacher, but as a horse handler, is to be able to reliably replicate problems and reliably solve problems through the replication of creating the problem and the solution. If you're just going on intuition, which you sometimes do, and just go on a feel of what you should be doing, then it's very also it comes down to being very hard to explain to anybody else what it is that you do. So I'm pretty sciencey in general. I'm constantly talking about science with the kids. I mean, we were watching a cartoon the other day, and I'd paused it, and I said, explain this, this, and this. And there's just random, just comic things. And so, well, why did they put that in? Why does it look like that? Why are these things able to float? Why is this? And just concentrating on the factual observations. And I find that it actually works really well as a teaching mechanism because it's easy to argue opinion or not argue, or it's easy to sort of say no or even yes to opinions of things. My opinion is that horses are wonderful, but that's not objective, that's subjective. The more subjective you get with your explanations of how and why, the more gray there is, the harder it is to teach and the harder it is to actually do. So I find I think more or less than in the end for my safety and the safety of those that I am privileged to work with and the safety of the horses, it comes down to being able to objectively look at things to efficiently find the solution to the problem. Break it down into its basic steps rather than saying something like a horse is stubborn. That's subjective. My horse is mean. That is also subjective. Any name calling, I'm constantly doing it. Luke is a spoiled brat. I say that to everybody I talk to about him. That is subjective. What does spoiled brat actually mean? So I'm not impervious to doing subjective things or saying subjective things. But when I'm quite serious about it, when I'm really looking for solutions and making things work, I'm very objective. And the only way to be objective is to be scientific. Otherwise, it's fluff. So great observation. Whoever, I can't recall who said that, but it's a great Catherine. Thank you, Catherine.
Oh,
This is just it's correct. Yeah, it's totally on the ball. And I believe you have to be. I think that there's also a happy mixture in there, a little bit of funny subjectiveness and steady objectiveness throughout horse training, horse handling, riding, whatever, grooming, all of these things can have a healthy amount of both, but to be truly effective and efficient is just almost robot-like. But at the same time, you got to be able to flip over to the pure feel of things. So there has to be instinct as well. So there's a balance. And a lot of the times I will, you guys see it all the time. Anytime you watch me train or something like that, I will be methodical and consistent and get things done. But when I do get it done and the horses responded, I'm just a big marshmallow. And I think it works. I think it's effective, that mixture. So thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, it was really nice.
That was really nice. Fireside chats are nice.
Yeah.
People say nice things. Everybody likes a fire, right?
Seuss, my friend, thinks I'm not. Because she said she'd rather clean a paddock than in the house.
Oh, that's everywhere. I think there are many times I'd much rather be outside than inside.
My friend Nolan said that is so cute, praising Jen.
Oh yeah.
Carla said you need Lena. I'm wondering if she means me. I don't. If that's what you're talking about, actually, I did switch to Lena, and yes, she is a way nicer ride. Macaroni's just too sensitive.
Oh, somebody said Lena must ride like a Cadillac. It's true, she does.
Oh, she's lovely.
Best horse ever.
Yeah, so lovely.
We were just talking about that today with the people that we actually got her from. We went out for dinner. They're actually the one who facilitated the transfer from where she was to us here. And we were saying, they said something along the lines of those people were thinking at some point they wanted the horse back or something.
Yeah, somebody that knew her.
Yeah, anyways, We
No
said
chance.
straight out, Lena's not over somebody's dead
Yeah,
body.
exactly. It won't be ours.
It won't be ours. We got a few
We'll
friends.
move and go into hiding before
Yeah.
that ever happens. She's the
Oh.
bestest.
So, yeah, Lena's just, I mean, when I went on a trail ride the other week, last weekend, um, really, really nice to sit on. And she's very smooth. We did a little trot, little canter here and there, and it's just power. You can just feel it's like riding an elephant probably, but just really powerful, big, big pulls and pushes with her legs. It's really cool to be with her, and very, very kind horse. Once in a while, she sort of kind of goes her own way here and there, but it is rarely of a nature that makes me worried. I've never seen her sort of reach a dangerous spot in that regard. She's a corrector. She's a little bit sort of resistant to some things here and there, but it's usually quickly correctable because she's definitely not the type of horse that's interested in making anybody feel uncomfortable or out of sorts. And so I don't know if any horse is actually, to be honest. Every horse I've ever worked with, they all come down to just being kind, willing horses to kind of get along. Oh, I think this one's the cops. No, it's just green and red. Look how low flying this thing is.
Wow. Mr. Unknown said something very lovely. Says it's come natural to you because you are not only a mom but a teacher for the little ones. For me. Power to teachers. Graham, what I value most about your channel is your generosity and the share of the little tidbits of common sense about equine care and awareness. Awesomeness of the small stuff makes the big scar, I think he's gonna say. I don't know. Big stuff, big scary stuff, not so intimidating and more manageable. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah. I mean, I always tell people, try to catch the things that are small and they'll add up to the big rather than miss all the small things that add up to the big. Tana's a great example of this, and I hope to sort of be able to double check with the owner. She said she was fine with anything I felt like sharing, but I'll double check with her. But I'd like to show how I have let small things get away to make a big, and how I've caught small things to stop the big and to make a big change. Those are great things to think about when working with horses. Because you can really let them get out of control, and they'll get worried, and you'll just know, you'll feel them just ramping up, and you're losing control, and so I do try to point out a lot of little things like, oh, watch what happens here, and look at this here, and watch that tail swish, and keep an eye on their nose, and see if they're making a straight line, or they're coming around, or are they yielding, can you get them to back up? Can there's so many things to pay attention to. But sooner or later, you don't have to pay attention to them because you've worked on it, fixed it, made it consistent, and everybody's comfortable.
Samantha says, I believe horses let you know every little situation. You just have to listen to their keywords. Horses just don't outright be nasty or aggressive. People got to understand it could be their surroundings. We say that all the time. That there's a million different things that could be affecting a horse, including just their surroundings. And
I think it might be in the tens of thousands. I'm not much sure about a million.
You're such a dork. You just have to be a dork. Dork.
Maybe a little under 10,000.
Just 9,999.
Yep.
Anyway, we were talking about that today.
What were we saying?
I was commenting on one of the horses and how much happier everybody's commented on a horse.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah, she's come here, and everybody's talking about how happy she's
Oh,
here.
really seems very content.
Yeah, she's doing so well.
Yep. Really.
Sometimes the environment just doesn't suit the horse, or a different environment really suits the horse.
Samantha said this, right?
Yeah.
Samantha, it's a good point. It's a hard situation to walk into. I'll get called up and I'll be asked to check out some horse, and some people will have a long story. Their horse is mean and stubborn and aggressive and always pushes them over and so on and so forth. And I say, okay, well, let's take a look at that. And in the beginning, that horse might be kind of used to maybe one or two things. One, they're used to calling the shots, so they figure they should still be doing that. Two, they're deathly afraid, which is the way more common one. It's much more common to come across a horse that's just plain afraid. In fact, I'd say 95% of them are that. And the ones that are used to calling the shots, they got to that position because they're afraid. A horse that feels safe has no need to push you around. If your horse feels comfortable and safe, there's no requirement other than Mother Nature just saying, make sure you stay on top. But a truly safe horse does not push the head horse. It just submits and stays safe in the herd. So I'm usually trying to talk about that quite a bit. It's not all cases, but it's a majority of cases. And the ones that are really pushy on their humans and constantly moving them around and constantly, and it is dangerous. They'll run them right over. I mean, I had a young kid here at one time, and that kid was constantly getting pushed over. And the kid was constantly pushing back and wasn't as totally ineffective. You can't pit 60 pounds against 1,000. It's just not going to work. It is dangerous. So I did my best to say what I could.
Samantha says she cannot wait to see baby Gracie be ridden. She'll be a firecracker in a good way because Arabs have that beautiful stride, especially their canter. It is so smooth, it's amazing.
Gracie's so fast.
She's a little.
She is. We're wondering if she's faster than Macaroni.
Yeah, she's quite speedy.
Very powerful. Macaroni is very powerful, very fast.
Although you were saying today it looks like she's getting more muscly somehow just being with him.
I think she's doing push-ups with Roni.
Doing push-ups
at nighttime.
Working out.
Wait, are they doing them now?
I'm going
to a second. Who's that?
Up. That's Macaroni.
Yeah.
He's getting a drink.
Yeah, he's muscly. He's powerful. And looking at them together, she looks like a mini version of him now.
I know.
Because she gets their exercise in the arena and she runs like crazy. I mean, fast, super fast. I wish I had a speed gun. I could probably figure it out based off of distance through the frame rate of the camera. Obviously, distance over time equals speed. But I do too. I'm looking forward to riding. I think she's really close to it. We'll see how it goes.
Mr. Unknown says, how is Ruli doing in the herd? Because she was very worried and disengaged in previous videos.
Well, Ruli's is still, we're still being sensitive to that she's had a past injury.
Yeah.
So we're not chucking her in with a bunch of horses at the moment. We'll put her in with Peggy and there we go.
That was a long time before it died.
Stream died first time. That hasn't happened in a little while here. It's back. We're back. It's all good.
I like that we see your thumb when it comes back.
Yeah, it's on the wrong camera.
By
default.
It's funny that says Graham needs a sleepy sleep.
Because I'm yawning so much? I know. Probably. I actually, when I get cold, I yawn.
It's been a while since we've seen Gracie running. She's so quiet now.
Oh my goodness. No, gosh, today she was running so fast I couldn't barely. It is nuts. Yeah. We'll see if we can't chuck them out. We'll see what tomorrow looks like.
Mr. Unknown says, I'm actually surprised that you were contemplating riding Gracie, which wasn't even a thought before. I didn't know it wasn't a thought before.
I don't recall saying it wasn't a thought before. I'm not sure where I gave that impression. I do plan on getting her started, but I'm not going to be a long-term rider for him. Too heavy. too heavy for her. So I have to figure out what I'm going to do about that. But I will start her up and get her and ride as light as I possibly can. But I wouldn't ride her very long because I think that I would just be hard for her to balance her body with and be a good effective rider. But I'll get her a walk trot probably. But I don't think I'd go further than that.
Carl was asking if you posted a video this morning. No.
I took a video this morning. I haven't
Yeah,
posted it.
don't
It's
post
still
it.
sitting on my camera. We're very busy today. We had a lot of things to do. And then
And you weren't doing it yesterday. Usually you do the video yesterday and then post it this morning.
no, yesterday I didn't have any video. I didn't take any video yesterday. This video's been a little slower. I've been under the weather a little bit. So as I was saying before, by the time evening comes around, I'm feeling way better now. Today's a better day for sure.
That's good.
But by the time evening comes around, I'm pretty zonked, and so if I tend not to take video for those because I know I'm not going to do anything anyways.
Sue
So there it
says
goes.
you want her ready so if and when I get up there I can ride her. Haha.
I think Gracie will be relatively calm for a ride. I don't see her as being a horse that's going to be freaking out.
Dave's
She
asking,
feels good.
sorry, go ahead. Dave's asking if there's a body weight to horse ratio ideal when it comes to riding, or does it depend
Yep.
on the breed, bone
No,
density?
it's a body ratio is the best way to kind of do it. You don't want to be anything more than 20% of the horse. For sure. 20% would be a significant. Like from my understanding, a good healthy weight is under 20%. So for 1,000-pound horse, you'd want to be under 200 pounds. Gracie is probably 800 pounds, so I'd want to be under 160, and I'm over 160, so I would be overweight for her. I know I'm overweight for her, and I knew that when I got her. So I would definitely not be any regular rider whatsoever, but I've got to get her started. That somebody might be able to continue it. Yeah. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. All of her groundwork will be in place. She'll do everything that I need her to do on the ground, which she's mostly doing now. I'll have her acclimated to all kinds of things. We'll be going for walks and parks pretty soon. She's got to get acclimated to all kinds of things. I have to have her out, be able to have her out alone. She's got to be able to go into water. She's got to be able to go across streams. She's got to be able to go across. So this summer will be a big summer for her. Be working hard, getting her out as often as I can. Hopefully I'll have somebody to come along with me to maybe bring Lena along or something to help her out. But if her and I have to go alone, then we go alone, and that's the way it is. She'll herd up with me, and she'll understand that I'll be the one that will be her safety net, or even as a human, I can reach that point with horses, and have many times.
Isis says some of those ringing cowboys look like they're 50% of the weight.
It's true. Yeah, the cutting horses are generally smaller horses. Some of the boys that hop on those poor things are too big. Yep, too big. It's not, and that's why they come out arthritic and crap. I mean, they're just 3-year-olds anyway, so they're just these baby horses that are out there working their asses off for.
David says, I'm free. I guess he'll help. Samantha says, I'll be the guinea pig for Gracie. She reminds me so much of Katie Babe. And the new Moo is literally a spitting image of Cody, but the size of Luna. Wow. Mr. Unknown says, how long will she take till you get her where you want her? Just a year or more?
I think this summer she'll be ready to go. No, I mean, it all depends, but she's such a smarty pants that with a dedicated amount of time, I could push her through all kinds of stuff. I'm sure of it. Yep, it'll be interesting. And you guys will be along for the ride, obviously. I take a lot of video, and probably use the 360 camera a lot more. Maybe not be 360 video, but that thing will be there because it captures everything. So it won't be as great as quality as my normal videos, but at least it'll have something and some learning experiences. Comes with its own tripod, so if I need to put it down, I just put it down. Into the water we go. I think she'll enjoy it. She's very playful, very smart. I'm quite looking forward to it. Um,
Catherine Perry says, I don't want to see Gracie go away. We've never said that she will for sure. It's like all of our horses that we rescue. So far, they're all still with us. But it just depends on if anyone was a better fit, we always say. If she found a family that really wanted her and loved her and had someone that was smaller that would ride her and, just
continue to teach her.
continue to teach her and just seem to be a good fit, then there's always that possibility. But there's no, we need to get rid of her. There is no deadline of her going away. That's not what it's about ever for us. We
No.
just don't say she'll never go anywhere for any of them. I mean, I would think that's
What?
true. Not for Luke or Lena, obviously, but honestly, even Mac. If somebody came along that really was sort of his riding soulmate, and he, wouldn't you just sort of feel like if someone leased him and really was like, this is my dream horse, and then, they just got on? It just is one of those things. You never know. I would want that for each of our horses.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, Macaroni, I love, so he's like my puppy, my 1,000-pound puppy.
It's more than that.
I don't ride him, but I just love his soul. He's a cool horse.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
Yeah, I like him. So, so pretty much no one's going anywhere.
Damn horses.
We just need a bigger farm now.
Oh no. I know people like that. They just collect them and keep them forever.
No.
It's not us. It's not our plan.
Yeah.
No.
Dave says I'm dog sitting my dog sitter's dogs for 2 to 3 weeks in July, so I'll be 15 minutes away, just off
cool.
the Pitt River on this side of the Pitt River Bridge. I can do camera if nothing else.
Oh, really?
Nice, you're hired.
You're hired.
Mr. Anna, how do you decide that? How do you decide that someone will be a fit for Gracie? Background check or word of mouth only?
I don't know. We've never sold a horse before.
Yeah, we've never.
We just keep keeping them.
We just keep keeping them. We've never tried it. I imagine it would be someone that came here. It's not just someone off the street.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
No
But
idea.
I just meant that
Thanks
if
for the
someone were
question.
here,
We'll keep it in mind and think about it.
Yeah.
How do we even answer something like that? It's yeah, a lot of it's going to be based on how they feel. What is their dedication to horsemanship? Like anything, like any horse, any person who's going to come around these horses and play with these horses, we need to know what their level of.
Yeah.
Are they dedicated? Do they care? Do they act like they care? It's intuition. Intuition plays a big part, I think.
I think we'd watch though. Wouldn't think they would come here, and I don't even know. But I would never just say, "Okay, bye."
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. We're just gonna have all these horses. Goodness, that's what's gonna happen.
Maybe.
Fair enough. Thank you for taking such lovely care of the creature. Oh, such care of lovely creatures. You're doing a great job. Your dedication, love of horses, and care of them is great.
Thanks.
And says, let your daughter ride her.
Yeah.
So far, neither of them are. I mean, Haley might become interested.
She wants to.
But she'd have to do a lot of practice to get on that horse.
Told her she's got to ride.
Yeah.
Other horses too. Practice. She's getting there a little bit.
It's true, it makes some horses' lives better. Yeah, well. I mean, 3 of our 4, having them here, have been rescues.
Yep.
Definitely better.
Yep.
Dave says you'll have your own TV show soon.
Deal with it. But it's a nice thought.
Maybe.
TV show?
A reality show?
Reality show? I live my own reality show.
You record your own reality show.
Yeah, I record it every day.
Yeah. You do, in a sense.
This is my reality.
Horse hoarders. Yeah, apparently we are.
There are plenty of horse hoarders out there.
There's lots.
And we know
minimal.
quite a few. Yeah,
we only have 4.
Only have 4.
That's nothing.
Just 4 people. Come on.
Yeah, lots of people have lots.
Just 4. I mean,
I think if we had more land, we might actually have more, but
we had more money.
Yeah, we're limited by.
Costs a lot of money.
Yeah. Like the shot of Haley hugging Roni as he was laying down. Yeah, I know.
Haley just went and did that all by her. She did Lena as well, and she just kind of makes it over on her own. She's grown up around horses and grown up watching what I do and watching us handle them, and knows that they're actually quite naturally is attracted to them in that way. Actually, I haven't found Haley not. I mean, she's been scared here and there, but as she sort of becomes more natural especially for our horses, Lena and Roni and Luke, she likes to snuggle them a little. She'll give them a little hug. She'll pat them on the nose and be gentle with them, and of course I'm constantly nattering away or something, so that probably helps.
Yeah.
Be gentle, be quiet, be soft. And so, yeah, well, I think kids pick up that stuff really well, depending on who they're learning from, come to think of it. But towards animals, I think kids can be very, very kind and gentle, naturally so. Naturally just occurs to them.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you're a big impact on Haley, but she's a soft soul just in herself.
Yeah.
She's very good with all animals, even from a very young age.
Yep.
It was just never a concern to have around puppies or cats or anything. She just is very good with it. You never worried.
Nope.
I certainly didn't. She was always good with them. Warm little kid. I noticed, yeah. Well, I think it's probably about time.
Getting late.
Yeah, it's getting late. We started earlier so that we could go to bed. Like, at a decent hour.
Yeah.
And especially since we started, so many people, it was already 11 p.m. for them. So,
Yeah.
but everyone was a big fan of the early start. So that's good. It says any kid that gets to grow up with horses is very lucky. Farm kids are the luckiest.
Farm kids.
It's true. I mean, we think our kids are very lucky. And it teaches them incredible things. Hard work, that you have to be dedicated to the animal. You can't just decide you're not going to feed him that day. So there's a lot of responsibility there. There's a lot of good lessons.
4%.
Okay, yeah, we're running out of juice in every camera now. The camera, the phone. Good night, Teresa says, good night, really enjoyed the fire chat. Good night, Teresa. Good night, Sue. Good night, guys.
Yeah.
Lovely catching live stream.
Yeah.
Lovely sleepy sleeps. Now he's talking like you, Mr. Unknown.
What? Sleepy sleeps.
That's
That's
awesome.
my style. Yeah, no, it's great having you guys. Come in and join up and hang out with us for Fireside.
Oh yeah, happy Easter. Good night, Samantha.
Yeah, happy Easter to everybody who's celebrating or in the
Good night, Carl.
countries that do Easter.
Good night, Sunny.
It's been really nice. Really nice. Sunny's there.
Yeah.
We haven't got any letter yet that you'd said. I got the email.
Good night, Catherine.
I was going to respond to
Good
that.
night, Barb.
Good night, everybody.
Kids with horses don't have time to get into trouble.
Kids with horses
True.
don't have time to get in
Any sort
trouble.
of sports, activities. our
Chores.
Kids are busy with chores and activities and, yeah, physically active.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay, well,
good night, Sue.
live stream's going to die. My
We're gonna die.
battery on the phone
Ah,
is
good
at
night,
2%.
everyone.
But thank you very much. Hopefully you guys have a good
Good night,
morning,
Alice. Oh, Alice was here too,
afternoon.
so yay.
Good night, Alice.
We'll see you next week.
Evening or night, and hopefully a good Easter. And we'll see you guys again. The smoke's coming in.
Yeah, now
I'm
we're
moving
done.
shop.
Good night.
But yeah, I got to shut down the phone anyways. So thanks, guys. We'll see you real soon. Tomorrow, I'll see if I can't get that upload up. And you guys can watch what's going on around here a little bit.